This video is brought to you by Maypen Educational Center, catering to evening CSEC classes and chess classes. Call 876-337-7374 or 876-775-6692. We got you covered preparing for exams. Andy Gone Nuts. 100% guaranteed fresh coconut water delivered straight to your door. Call 876-309-6128. That's 876-309-6128. Refreshing and affordable. For more information, follow them on Instagram at Andy Gone Nuts. Truly refreshing. And Crumble by Mrs. C. Old English fudge and other delectable sweet treats. Call or WhatsApp 876-586-0471. That's 876-586-0471. This video is also brought to you by BLC Jamaica Security Electronics, specializing in alarm system, video surveillance, camera system or CCTV, barrier system, gate automation, and access control. Call 876-320-7711. That's 876-320-7711 or 876-351-1105. That's 876-351-1105. Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Simon Preston and welcome back to Reggae Boyz Commentary. Thank you so much for tuning into another video on this channel. We'll have a very special guest joining us this evening in about another 5 minutes from now. Yeah, and this is a Jamaican sportscaster based in North America who's been covering the Reggae Boys, Reggae Girls, and will be able to give a little bit of insight into how they're doing in those respective leagues and talk about the coverage that has been done. So it's going to be an exciting evening, that's for sure. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be quite exciting. So I appreciate you all for coming. We all know what tomorrow will bring. We know tomorrow is the big day. Check in. Tomorrow is the big day. Tomorrow is the big day where the entire world is aware of what is to come. Yeah, tomorrow will be the day. Tomorrow is the day that Heimer Hallgrimsson gets introduced to the public of Jamaica. It's a day where he will be able to get the opportunity to interact with stakeholders, corporate Jamaica. Tomorrow is the day that it all happens. Tomorrow is when everything comes together. And I know everybody has a lot of mixed views on the matter. I know. And I know that persons, by the time they believe that, because over in Trinidad, they're having discussions about should Trinidad get an overseas-based coach as well. So they're looking at us, and other Caribbean islands are looking at us as an example and saying, well, if Jamaica is getting an overseas coach for the 2026 campaign, why won't we? So Trinidad is looking at us. Phone calls are coming in left, right, and center. People are calling, saying, how much is this coach getting paid? Because they want an overseas coach for themselves. They want a piece of the pie. They want to be involved. So yeah, trust me. So yeah. So that's where we are. That's the situation that we're at right now. We have a situation where you look at the picture already. Canada, USA, Mexico, out of the picture in terms of qualifying, World Cup qualifying. So Jamaica is competing with Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras. I don't want to put El Salvador in the picture, but fine. El Salvador, Guatemala. You know, it's funny. If you look at the octagon, right, of this year's qualifying, and let's say you remove USA, Canada from the picture, then next in line you have Costa Rica, you have Panama, and you have Jamaica. So based on that, Jamaica would qualify for 2026. You get the picture? But of course, we can't count our chicks before they're hatched. We know exactly what we need to do. But 2026 has to be the time. And it's something I made mention even prior to the 2022 qualifiers. I said for 2022 that fourth, if we can get fourth, then Qatar is realistic. Ended up sixth. But can you imagine? And you know, Mr. Blake had mentioned it already in relation to those 2 minutes in Mexico basically could have changed the campaign. 0 points turns into 1 against Mexico. That would have given momentum for the Panama fixture. Let's say we even get a point against Panama. That's 2. You pick up a point against Costa Rica, 3. So you end that window with 3 points right there. Yeah. You go into the window against the United States, fine. Let's say the United States win to that. You come back home, you take on Canada. Fine, you take another point there, that's 4. You beat Honduras, you're on 7 points there. You hold on against El Salvador, you go to 10 points. You take a point against the Americans, okay. You go to 11 points. You beat Mexico at home, you go to 14. You see what I'm saying? You get the picture? You go to Panama, you get a point, you go to 15. You beat Costa Rica at home, you go to 18. You go into the last 3 games, you beat El Salvador, you go to 21. You beat Honduras, you go to 24. And you give Canada the points in Canada, and that's 24 points. And you're at the World Cup. So, honestly, things could have changed. It really could have been different. It could have been different, but you know, it's fine. Hmm. So that's the situation. Hope you're doing good, man. Hope everyone is doing well. And I know you all will have mixed views about what is to come. The new coach, his backroom staff, Maron Gordon. I know everybody's going to have mixed views about all of that. It's disappointing, I know. So yeah, that's where we're at. So that's the situation. Calvin Hicks says, as a 29-year-old, if Jamaica doesn't qualify in 2026, then I don't see it happening in my lifetime. I was too young for France 98. All I have are DVDs and the World Cup game on PS1. DVDs. Boy, brethren, you know what? I saw it on video cassettes, DVDs. Video cassettes. I watched the Croatia game, the Argentina game, the Japan game on video cassette. I was born, of course, when that happened. You guys know to like the video already. I was born when I was around for 98, all right? But I'm just saying that years after, you know what happened? It just had to be on video cassettes. But Now is the time that we have to invite our special guest on the program, somebody who I had the privilege of going to school with, and a Jamaican that is doing absolutely fantastic things in the United States and progressing quite well within broadcasting and covering Jamaicans up and down the country. And we're going to get an insight into her story, her journey, and the experiences covering Jamaican players and how they're doing in those respective leagues. So, without further ado, help me welcome Victoria Samuels. Hey, Vic, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you? I'm so excited to be here.
It's been so long. It's good to hear from you. I'm doing well. How are you? How's the family doing? How's everybody?
Everybody is so good. We're so blessed. I mean, I'm just so excited to be here and be able to talk about Jamaica. My whole personality trait is that I'm Jamaican when I'm
Yeah,
abroad. So I'm
yeah,
like super excited. I told everyone, come tune
yeah.
in, listen to me talk about football in Jamaica. So everything's great. I'm so excited to be here again. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. I guess the first place to start is, where did your passion for sports begin? Was it at Hillel when we went to school or a little after?
Okay, so I feel like everyone who is from Jamaica, they don't really have a choice. Sports is just such a big part of our culture. And growing up as a kid, I was just kind of forced to sit there and watch football by my grandfather. And obviously he was a United fan.
Wow.
And so I had to sit there and I didn't even know what was going on. I probably haven't even said my first words and it was just, football. So and then it kind of veered from football. I kind of had my own personality, so I loved golf, and I played golf for Jamaica when I was 17, so that was super exciting, and went to boarding school and came to the States where, sports are just so big here, like, there was just a variety of sports, it wasn't just track and field and well, at least at Hillel, it was just track and field and football for the most part when we were there, and I came here to America, and it was just like, okay, there's American football, there's football, tennis, golf, basketball. Basketball was a shock for me. I love basketball, so that was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And then, I really wanted to play college golf, and things didn't work out in that retrospect for me, which was fine because I actually found another passion, and it was kind of the other side of sports. Instead of actually being the athlete yourself, you get to now speak about a sport and like be in a space on the other side of that.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, I want to go into, sport management. And I was like, okay, I tried that out. I did 4 years of sport management. I worked at a PGA golf tournament in the tournament office, met athletes. I went and volunteered at a bunch of events. I worked for the Super Bowl last year in Tampa. That was super exciting. I mean, it was just I had all these amazing experiences, and then I met a professor and I went to class and did this class in PR
Mm.
and of sports, PR and communications. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm starting to think this might be the move, and I took a risk and I applied to this really great program, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism in Arizona. And somehow they accepted me because they saw something in me. And I'm actually just so shocked at everything that has happened to this point. I'm so grateful. And it's been a lot of hard work, a lot of self doubt, a lot of tears, a lot of calling my mom and leaning on my family and friends. But I'm just so excited to have like gone down this path and I get to do sports every day. It doesn't even really feel like a job for the most part. I know that sounds so cliche, but I mean it. I just really, really, really enjoy going out and meeting athletes and connecting with people and having that common ground of, okay, you like sports, I like sports. We're going to get along. So I think that's just awesome, you know?
Yeah, that's quite an inspiring experience. When was the first time that you got a chance to interview or cover a Jamaican, whatever sport that might be? Do you remember that first time that you were covering a Jamaican or Jamaican team in action?
Okay, so this summer I went to go live in LA
Mhm.
and I spent the summer in LA and I got to go out in the field and like be my own, like have my own direction, be in charge of it myself, which was super exciting because up to this point, it's kind of just been like, we're going to assign you to a specific team, assign you to this specific topic, and you're
Yeah.
just here to learn the general basis of what we want you to learn. And then in your final semester, you get to go out and be your own person and build whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. And obviously I can't help myself. As I said, my identity is that I'm Jamaican, so I have to find a Jamaican wherever they are. I have to. It's just
Right.
you can't not. You go abroad, and you have to find the people that remind you of home, and in any way you can possible. So I went to LA, and as soon as I got to LA, they were like, my program, my bureau, they were like, choose a team, try to cover that team. And I was like, okay, I really wanted to continue with football or golf.
Mhm.
Now, I just love football and it's so easy. You can't not want to cover football. There's just so many different stories that come out of just one single football team.
Yeah.
When I got to LA, I was like, there's the LA Galaxy, then you have the LAFC team.
Mhm.
Recently, you had the new expansion team for the NWSL, which is the National Women's Soccer League. So that's the female professional, top tier female professional team in the United States. And they just expanded into LA this past year. So this is their first season going on right now, and I think it's coming to an end really soon. And I thought to myself, I cover, like, I watch male football, I watch a lot of men dominated sports. And I feel like there's an awful lot of coverage when it comes to like women's soccer, even though, I mean, we all know about the women's US national team. And if you're from Jamaica, you know about the Reggae Girls. But up until last year, people genuinely didn't appreciate them as much as they do now that they've qualified for 2 consecutive World Cups. So it
Exactly.
was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go try do this Angel City FC, which is the name of the team. And I went and they welcomed me with open arms. They were so loving. They were just so excited to have me there. And obviously before I go, I do my research and I realize one of the Reggae girls is on that team, Alison Swaby, and her sister also plays on the team.
Mhm.
And so she plays for Angel City FC, and I think her sister plays for Rangers FC, or I think that's in Scotland.
Right.
And so I go and I'm like, okay, I'm itching now. I kind of want to do a story on, a Jamaican soccer player in LA, but I have to tie it back to Arizona because that's where I'm with Arizona PBS. So I have to like tie it into that Arizona connection. And
Mhm.
then I was like, you know what? You don't have to tie it into the Arizona connection. We're Jamaica. We are the biggest, smallest country in the world. I swear. Everybody knows about Jamaica. Everyone roots for Jamaica. We are the underdogs and people will love us regardless. People want to read about us. It's just the truth. They don't care if there's a connection. They don't care if they don't know anyone that's Jamaican. They all love us. And so I went and did this story. I interviewed Alison Swaby, and then I found another connection, and it was Sade Adamalekan. She plays at University of Southern California. She's one of the younger girls on the team right now. And I interviewed her. She was awesome. I interviewed her actually while she was in Colorado for the Reggae Girls training camp. So
Wow.
she was like in between practice and she called me on Zoom and we sat there and we were supposed to talk for like 20 minutes, turned into an hour and 20 minutes because obviously we're both Jamaican, you can't help it, long winded people. And that was super awesome. And then when I went to the MLB draft combine, which is
Mhm.
who thinks about baseball in Jamaica, I met this kid named Jalen, and he is now going on to play college baseball at Stetson. He
Wow.
went to the MLB draft. He was invited by the MLB to the draft combine, which is pretty much you show your skills, you perform in front of scouts hoping to get drafted.
Mhm.
And turns out he was Jamaican. I talked my way into the dugout and I saw a glove and it had a Jamaican flag on it. And I was like, whose glove is this? Which one of you is Jamaican? Which one of you is a yardie right now? Whose glove is this? And he walked up to me. He's like, my glove. I was like, okay, tell me your whole life story right now. I have to know. And it was just so awesome. It was just amazing that I was in San Diego, California at the MLB draft combine, and there was this kid who's from Jamaica. His dad went to George's, or I think he went to KC or JC. He went to JC, and it's like, what is happening right now? It's just so funny. I love it.
Yeah, it really, really is a small world, to see how much Jamaicans are thriving overseas. It's absolutely great. So those experiences that you had with Allison and with Sade, talking to them, whether pre-game or post-game, you know, as you get to know them, as my experiences, they're just so chill. They're so calm. They're easy to talk to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think with Allison, it was funny because at first I didn't tell her I was Jamaican. The story I was doing was on the expansion of the team.
Oh,
And it was my first story. So I wasn't trying to push and be like, let me talk to the one Jamaican. I mean, like, I can't pretty much ask. It was during practice and they were pulling people out to talk to media. And it just turned out that it was Allison. And I was like, we went through a whole interview. And at the end, I was like, I'm Jamaican. And she goes, no way. And so they were just talking and we're just laughing. And it was just so awesome because they're just real people. And then you see them on the football field, on the pitch, like that Saturday, and they're performing in front of 20,000 people. And you're like, I know that person. I know her.
Wow. And the training camp over in Colorado, what was that like, meeting up with the girls before they head to Mexico for the qualifiers?
So I was actually at the MLB draft combine that weekend. So I zoomed them from the tunnel at the MLB draft combine. I didn't actually get to go to Colorado, which I really wished I would have been able to go. But I zoomed with Sade and she was awesome. I mean, she just talked about the fact that this camp was so vital to them as a team because they were focusing on gelling together and, becoming one moving body instead of just different all over the place. And I think it was very vital to them. And now they're qualified. They just qualified for a second consecutive World Cup, which is amazing. I think they beat Haiti in order to get that qualification, and they are now one of the CONCACAF teams that are moving on, which is just amazing. I mean, I remember when they first got to the World Cup, the one in France, and I was like, okay, I really hope they keep this up. I hope this wasn't like a Reggae Boyz 1998 thing where we just see it once and we never see it again.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. And in terms of the team now, the regular squad now, what are your thoughts about the team as a whole? Do you like the mixture of youth and experience in the team? Your thoughts about the current Reggae Girls, sorry, team?
I think that the Reggae Girls team is awesome. I think that there's a honest, true mix between, you have players who are still in college. We have, I think she goes by Kiki.
Yeah,
Kiki,
Zanten, yeah.
what was her last name? Kiki Van.
Zanten, yeah.
Thank you. Kiki, she plays for Notre Dame and she scored a sick goal the other day for Jamaica. And she plays for Notre Dame. She's a freshman. Sade, she was Nigerian. She's Nigerian and she's also Jamaican. She grew up in the United States. Mom is Nigerian. Mom is Jamaican. Dad is Nigerian. And so she decided to, no longer run with the US national team. She's now on the Jamaican national team. Like she had opportunities. And I think it just proves to the fact that like it's much more than just experience alone. There is this like community, this welcoming. When I've spoken to the players and they've said it is because I feel at home here. This is where it feels like home. And I think it really speaks about the fact that you can be playing for Manchester City women's team, like Khadija Shah, or you could be playing for, and I'm not saying Notre Dame is anything bad, but you could be playing for a Division One NCAA team, and
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what level you're on, as long as you're connecting with each other and you're out on the field and you're doing what you love and you're representing your country as like a family. I think it's so important to these players, and I think it might have been something that was lacking in the past with previous teams, and I think it has a lot to do with leadership. So far, the players I've spoken to, they said they really like the new coach, and I think that has a lot to do with it too. So I think the Colorado training camp really helped players like understand that okay, we might be from different levels, but it doesn't matter. We lean on each other and we just power through.
Mhm. And in terms of like the company that you work at right now with broadcasting, are they supportive when you cover Jamaican players, athletes, and teams? Are they okay with that?
So they're definitely supportive. I mean, again, my personality is that I am Jamaican, so they really don't have a choice whether or not they want to be supportive. I'm going to try my hardest to get a Jamaican player on a story on a Jamaican player. As you said, there's Kevin Lambert. He plays for Phoenix Rising FC, which is my beat this semester because obviously Arizona doesn't have an MLS team. They only have a USL team, which is fine. I think in the future they will be getting an MLS team because the market is here. The market's here. It is really here. The people in Arizona, they respect football so much, even I think partially more than American football in a sense. And I think it has to do with geography. We're so close to Mexico and football is life in Mexico. So I think it's super important that regardless of where I go, I make sure that it is understood that I will be covering a Jamaican somewhere. That is something that I want to do. And I think it has to do with the fact that growing up, there wasn't much coverage, at least from what I saw as a kid. I mean, now we're hearing about the Leon Baileys and the Raheem Sterlings of the world, and that's great. But there's also, the Kevin Lamberts who might not be in the Premier League, but they're in a league and they're playing football and they're representing. I went to the stadium. I went to the game. I've been to a couple games now. Every time there's a Jamaican flag hanging from the stands. There's another one hanging somewhere else. And I'm like, we're in Phoenix, Arizona. We are thousands and thousands of miles away from home. And there is a flag in the stadium. And that is important. And it's important to share that with people back at home.
Absolutely, absolutely. I saw the Instagram story you had of that of the Jamaican flag there, because you had quite a bit of Jamaicans there. Now it's just Kev, but have you had a chance yet to talk to Kev and be able to interact with him a bit as yet?
I have not had a chance. I think that right now Phoenix Rising is having a tough run. They just fired their coach that they've had for many years, Rick Shantz, and I think that they have an interim coach or a returning coach, which is Coach Juan Guerra, and he's super nice. I actually spoke to him a couple of times. He's hilarious, and I think that they're trying really hard to make the best of what they can for the rest of the season. These past two home games they had were really important because now that they haven't been performing as well, they're not gonna be able to move on to the championship or the playoffs or whatever. So I think after this, it's season done. And so I'm going to try. There's two more home games in October, and I'm going to try around then when they're not on the road, when they come back to, sit down and try do a story on him. I think we talked about, talking about the Gold Cup and how Jamaica qualified for that. And I think that that would be super important to hear from him as a key member of the team.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that certainly will be a good one to look out for. And of course, he got called up to play for Jamaica recently for the Argentina friendly, so that's another talking point as well, because he's in that squad. So another
And
point.
that's in Harrison, right?
That's right. Yes, and Harrison.
That should be exciting. I just I'm nervous about that game for Jamaica. I mean, they left Blake off. That whole situation that's going on with Blake right now is kind of crazy. And Andre Blake, I think it's scary for the Jamaican national team to leave Andre Blake out.
Hmm. Yeah,
Unpopular opinion, I guess.
yeah, it's still another couple of weeks to go before that game. We'll see what the federation and the players will bring together, but everything in time, everything in time. So, I mean, you've had the chance to see Major League Soccer, NWSL, USL. What are your thoughts about all those leagues together that you've seen? Because it's like when you go into those games, it's like an event. The fans, the atmosphere, the environment. It just feels like you're somewhere like a party.
I think I think that it's so crazy because to me, when you think of football, you think of, well, personally for me, I think of Europe, specifically the Premier League. I never not once think about the United States or just Northern America in general. I think that it is super important to know that the game of soccer slash football, it's growing. It's growing and it's growing fast. I think it's going to become in the top four of sports. I think it's going to take the NHL for a loop soon. I really do. I think it's going to kick the NHL off of where they are. I think the MLS is expanding at a crazy rate personally, and I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain that. I mean, you have new additions like Inter Miami, and you have like other teams, which, yes, the market is there, but are you going to be able to sustain it? You want to build crazy stadiums. Are you going to be able to fill them up? And the most important thing to do that is to put on a good product. Are you giving the fans what they want? Nashville SC, that was a recent addition. They had the market and they have done absolutely amazing. They built a brand new stadium in Nashville. Nashville might also be getting I think they're going to be getting a new expansion. Rumor is they might be getting an NBA team in the future. So I think it's super important that people know that there is a market here for football, whether it's USL, MLS, and WSL. I think the product that Angel City FC set in place for women's soccer in America, not just women's national soccer, but women's soccer professional level, is amazing. It was mind blowing to see that amount of people show up.
Yeah.
Kids, boys and girls, grown people, boys, male and female. We're not even going to talk about the celebrities. Celebrities are investing into soccer now. So Phoenix Rising FC, I think I read somewhere Diplo is a partial owner for that. Angel City FC over there, it was a long list of celebrities. Serena Williams' daughter is a investor. I go to the games. Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade are sitting right there on the pitch. She's an investor. You have celebrities. I think it was Becky G, the one that sings like "Dancing in the Mirror, Singing in the Shower." That she was there at the game. She's an investor. People are investing in the sport of football because they know that it is. First of all, it's the biggest sport in the world. Regardless of what anyone knows or thinks, it is actually the biggest sport in the world. And I think that there is a market for it everywhere. And I think America is really starting to open their eyes up to it. And I went to this thing called the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. People don't know about it. People don't know about it. It's the US's version of the FA Cup.
Exactly.
And I think I went to a game. I went to Sacramento Republic FC versus LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
They beat LA Galaxy at home. Sacramento is like a probably 7-hour drive, 6-hour drive from LA.
Mm-hmm.
The fans that drove down to that game, they were massive in the crowd. And then they went on to the run and they got to the finals. They would have been the first USL team to win in like the past 20 years. And they got to the finals and they fell to Orlando SC, which was sad. But it was still there. Like, this is a USL team proving that it doesn't matter if you're in MLS, USL, NWSL. The product is there. People are playing their hearts out, and it's more than just what league you're playing, and it's for the love of football. And I think that that's just, like, amazing.
Yeah. And you spoke earlier about the women's game and how it's growing with the fans and everything. How did you feel about the recent agreements where women's players and men's players getting equal pay now as it relates to the national team? Your thoughts about that agreement that was signed quite recently.
I think that it's absolutely absurd that they weren't making more in the first place. Hot topic, but still. I mean, I genuinely believe that the women's national team, they've been fighting for this for a very long time. I think that they've proven time and time again that they deserved equal pay, if not more. And I think that it's about time that a federal government passed that this is how it's supposed to be. Because if you take away the fact that, okay, it's sports, it's still back on equality just in general in the United States of the fact that women make less than men. So I think that it is super important to show people that even in sports, women are making equal to men now, because we always hear about like women are inferior to men in sports. Women can't kick the ball as hard. They can't throw the ball as hard. They can't this, and this. And it's just, despite the fact that they have World Cups on World Cups and medals and trophies on trophies, they continuously have to prove themselves as being equivalent to a team which Tim Howard was still making bank off of a couple years ago. Like Tim Howard, come on, no offense to him, but Tim Howard, like I think it's awesome, and I think that it also brings, it shows to little girls that okay, we're not just kicking a ball for fun. We're kicking a ball and we can make a profession out of this. We can make a livelihood. We can support our families, and we don't have to, look for alternative streams of income so we can afford to play the sport that we love. And I think that's so important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head right there. So with the MLS, the USL, and the NWSL, what are your thoughts now about the quality of the leagues compared to Europe? Do you feel that they're catching up? They're up there in terms of the players, the quality of the talent? Your thoughts there?
Okay, so I definitely think that they're nowhere near Europe. I think they are leaps and strides ahead of where they were a couple of years ago, which is so important because so much has changed within the last year, a couple of years, I mean. And I think they have a long way to go before they're at that level of Europe, because they are also competing against the sports that people know and love for years now. So they're competing against the NFL, the NHL, they're competing against NBA, they're competing against MLB. Those are big products. And I think that it's hard because in Europe, you're not competing against sports that are so big and so highly publicized in the same way that the US is dealing with them. I think that what the US can do is, instead of focusing on expanding MLS and NWSL teams for exposure, I think they can focus more on like farm leagues and making academies for kids. So here in Arizona, we have the Real Salt Lake Academy. We have the Phoenix Rising Academy, and then we also have the Barca Academy. So Barca has an academy here in Arizona, and it's bringing more exposure to the game in youths. And I think that's when it's most important, Because if you grow up watching a sport, you're going to love it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, true.
I just think it's super important for them to focus on like exposure to children or younger people, because at this point in time, I think old people, they already kind of decided what sports they love.
And of course, you're on the ground in Arizona, and we've heard whispers about Phoenix Rising. Have you heard anything about them possibly expanding to Major League Soccer, or you're not hearing that just yet?
I think that it might be premature. I know that the Phoenix Rising, they recently moved to their stadium, their new stadium in Wild Horse, which is Wild Pass. I mean, that's further south than like Phoenix. It's in the Phoenix metropolitan area, but it's kind of far. And they moved down there to a bigger stadium, which now holds, I think, around 16,000 instead of their previous stadium, which didn't hold that many. And I think that there are talks about them getting an MLS team one day. I know that they will 100% get one day, but I think that if it is happening soon, that might be a little bit too premature, because they're going through a lot of like changes with like coaches and like players. And I just think that it would be awesome if they do get an MLS team. And I don't know if it would be Phoenix Rising that then becomes the MLS team, or if someone else will come in and make their own MLS team. Because that's happened in other cities before, where there was this USL team and they had a stronghold. And then there were some financial disagreements where, you know, the owner that wanted an MLS team wasn't willing to pay the USL team enough. So then they just created their own new team and kind of left the USL team out to dry. I hope that doesn't happen, because Phoenix Rising definitely has a name here in Arizona. And I know that south of Arizona in Tucson, there's FC Tucson. So I think that there's definitely a market here for it. I just think that when is it going to happen, and financially, who can afford to bring that market here, you know?
Yeah, I understand. In terms of what's next for you in terms of coverage, the rest of this week or the month, what's next for you on your radar of sports broadcasting and coverage?
I decided to kind of go out with this new story. So basically, Phoenix Rising, they have this program called Pub to Pitch, and they take shuttles from, there's 3 different shuttles every home game, and it takes people from different bars throughout the city to the game, and then from the game back to the bars. And I'm doing a story on just like explaining that, because it's not very known around Phoenix, and this is going to air on TV live on cable, so people are going to know about this. And I'm sitting down to interview with the head of fan experience on Tuesday, so hopefully I can get some, you know, good quotes in there and get people to know what this is about. I've interviewed a bunch of fans, and they love it, and they're just confused why a lot of people don't know about it. So I definitely think, again, I want to do my part in making sure that people are exposed to all the opportunities that soccer also brings, not just the game. I think it's super important that, you know, fans know, especially gas prices right now, they're crazy. I think it's super important that fans know you don't have to drive the 30 minutes to the stadium in traffic. You can go to the bar down the street from home with your friends, get food, drinks, get on a bus for free, go to the game. They drop you right in front of the gate. You get picked up at the gate, and you get taken back to the bar with your friends, where you can continue to drink if it's a good night, or continue to drink if it's a bad night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it's important that people know that there's other things to sports journalism, except for instead of just the game itself.
True, definitely another aspect to it. Look, Vic, I really, really appreciate your time coming on. It's been really, really great. For those individuals that want to see your work or get to know you a bit better, where can they follow your work or follow you to get more information about you as a Jamaican covering sports in the US?
Um, Thank you for having me, first of all. I love being here. This is a great channel, and I'm going to continue to watch you in the future. You can find me on social media at Sports with Vic. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. I also really like when people talk to me, so I'll reply to you. Obviously, you can tell I talk a lot. And I and you can also find me on ArizonaPBS.Cronkite News. And that's where you can find my stories on, you know, the Jamaican national team. And hopefully I can get an interview with Kevin at Phoenix Rising, so you'll see it there.
Great, great. That sounds good. Vic, really, really appreciate your time. You're a great ambassador for our country, doing great work in the States. Keep up the good work, and we'll be in touch for sure. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
All right, it's been a pleasure. Take care.
Bye.
All right, so there we have it. That was Victoria Samuels. Did you guys know that that's the granddaughter of Byron Lee? Yeah, you guys know Byron Lee and the Dragonaires? Yeah, there you go. But that was Victoria Samuels, Jamaican broadcaster, speaking about her experiences covering national teams and Jamaican national team players within the United States in the MLS, NWSL, USL, and the players, the way that they're doing, the way they're carrying on, their expectations, moving to Europe, amongst many, many other aspects as well. So that gives you a clear mindset of everything that has been happening and that has happened. So thank you very much for tuning into this very special interview, everybody. There will be a What is the Deal to come later this evening, and also What is the Deal to come tomorrow as it relates to two potential Jamaican players on store. So I'll provide a What is the Deal, one more this evening, one more on Friday morning. So stay tuned for that. You don't want to miss it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Reggae Boyz Commentary. Until the next video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. This video is brought to you by Maypen Educational Center, catering to evening CSEC classes and chess classes. Call 876-337-7374 or 876-775-6692. We got you covered preparing for exams. Andy Gone Nuts, 100% guaranteed fresh coconut water delivered straight to your door. Call 876-309-6128. That's 876-309-6128. Refreshing and affordable. For more information, follow them on Instagram at Andy Gone Nuts. Truly refreshing. And Crumble by Mrs. C. Old English fudge and other delectable sweet treats. Call or WhatsApp 876-586-0471. That's 876-586-0471. This video is also brought to you by BLC Jamaica Security Electronics, specializing in alarm system, video surveillance, camera system or CCTV, barrier system, gate automation, and access control. Call 876-320-7711. That's 876-320-7711 or 876-351-1105. That's 876-351-1105.